Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton. This has been a long week, right? A whole week of no updates. Although if you're on Facebook, I apologize. I had a lot of catching up to do on Facebook, but I'm all caught up now. So I apologize if you're my friend on Facebook and you sat through this past weekend. It was a little rough. Anyways, because I was like update after update after update was just posting them on Facebook. They've been on YouTube for a while, but I just like I come home and then I do the Sudsy recap and then I go to bed because I'm so exhausted. It's okay though. So I want to talk about a couple of things, a couple of programming notes before we go into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. The first is either this or next Wednesday will be the last time that I do a Sudsy recap for Atlanta. And nothing against the Atlanta girls. You know I love me some Atlanta girls and I watch me some Atlanta every week and I'll still continue to watch it. I just won't do a Sudsy recap because the new season of Dancing for Relevancy starts, and you know I love me some Dancing for Relevancy. So of course I'm going to be doing my pre-season show where I talk about who's going to be joining the cast and who I think is going to make it, and I'm very excited about all of that. I really am. I cannot wait. First of all, Erica Jane is going to be on the show. Okay, that's too much into that. So yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited about that. So that's going to be coming up shortly. Okay. Also, I think that might be it. I've got so much I want to talk about, and it's really crazy. So let's go, just dive right into it. Okay. Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, so last week when Portia and Candy were going at it at their lunch, right? I they were just spilling so much tea, like I was having a hard time coming up for air. I was drowning in tea, and I missed the part where Portia said that she had heard that Candy and Todd were going to drug her and take her back to the sex dungeon. I mean, I heard the word sex dungeon, and I knew that was a rumor that had been spread before, but the whole drugging thing, that was new, right? So I missed that last week, right? So that is a tidbit that I totally missed. Oh, okay. I know what I wanted to talk about. The Housewives of New York. I know this is a little bit random, but I'm not doing a Sudsy recap for the New York Housewives, but I do want to say, so I saw a clip of the upcoming New York Housewives, and they have cast Tinsley Mortimer on the show. And I think that is the best fucking idea that Bravo has ever had. Like, I mean, that is what the New York Housewives should be. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. First of all, I love Tinsley Mortimer. I've been obsessed with her since she ruled the social scene with an iron fist back in the early 2000s. And unless you follow the New York socialite scene, which I can't believe I actually did for a small period of time. Isn't that crazy? But whatever. You're probably not going to know who Tinsley Mortimer is because she literally is not famous outside of that. I think she's got like a handbag line that she does in Japan maybe. And I think she tried her hand at hosting, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. She was hosting shit like, entertainment reporter stuff, But that didn't last that long, and she just kind of disappeared. And we find out that her life has not been that rosy, and I can't wait to hear all about it on New York Housewives. So I'm in. I am in. I'm so in on the New York Housewives this year. I cannot wait. I'm really excited about that. Okay, back to Atlanta. Sorry. I had to talk about the New York Housewives because I love Tinsley Mortimer. I'm so excited. Okay. Oh, wait, and we find out that she's living with Sonia Morgan. I mean, it was great when Luann lived with Sonia, but I mean, the fact that Tinsley Mortimer is living with Sonia, I mean, that kind of actually gives Sonia a little bit more cred than Luann living with her, right? Because she's always talking about how, oh yeah, Madonna and John John used to party on my yacht, you know, blah, 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 right? And, excuse me, but you know, and we're always like, you know, put your money where your mouth is, Sonia. Like, where are all these glamorous, famous people? But Tinsley Mortimer is staying with her, so there's that. So, kudos to you, Sonia. Okay, moving on. Moving on to Atlanta. Okay, sorry. I had to talk about all that. Okay, Atlanta. Okay, so I missed that part about Candy drugging her. I mean, that must have been the part where my head went under the tea because all that tea was being spilled. So, and the best part this week, the best was when Candy decides to tell all the girls about Portia and their night together. Well, not together, but their night where Portia was hitting on Candy, let's put that, in front of Todd. Okay, and the girls were just like, "What?" And then when Candy said, "Yeah," and she said she was gonna eat my pussy till I came, and then it was like, like everyone's facial expressions was hilarious. From Kenya fainting to Cynthia just dying, like what? To Shamia just drinking. I mean, it was great. It was the best. It was awesome. I love that. And here's another thing too. When they all go, so then they all go to Maui. And we'll talk about that trip in a quick second. But when they're in Maui at the dinner table, Candy starts going off on Portia because she's really pissed off about this whole drug thing. She's really irritated about that because, you know, she's like, I don't care if you say I mess around with chicks, whatever. I don't care if you say I have a sex dungeon because I don't have a sex dungeon, you know. But when you start saying that I'm going to drug people, that is some slanderous bullshit. And you know what? She's right, though, because, I mean, just think of it. She came up in the music industry, you know, as a member of Escape way back in the 90s, 20 years ago. And God, more than 20 years ago, close to 25 years ago. I know. Anyways, so she came up and I'm sure she has seen more than her fair share of sleazy people in that industry who have drug people on purpose, right? So, and she doesn't do drugs. She's very anti-drug. So she was like, and for Portia to say that, because that could take money out of her pocket. You know, it could keep her from getting income for the candy factory or keep other artists from wanting to work with her. I mean, like, it's just really, it's a bad look. And she was pissed and she went off on Portia. So then at the dinner, she decides to bring the receipts. Well, the receipts were mentioned by Portia, you know, asking, you know, where are the receipts? Because, you know, and then Portia tells Cynthia, oh, your divorce decree is your receipt. That was a bad move because next thing you know, Candy pulls out these text messages that Portia had sent her right after that night saying, I'm not going to rape you on camera. Like all of that stuff, right? I mean, she was like, Portia was the one saying that to Candy. So she's like, I just want to point out that nowhere was there anything. She was obviously the aggressor that night. And Portia's whole thing was, blame it on the Henny, right? Because I was drunk. Okay. And still no one's made that connection to her first husband. I mean, she's only had one husband. To her husband, no one's mentioned anything about him yet, and how this plays in. Well, but the season is still young. So anyway, so I was thrilled. I mean, I can't wait for what's gonna come up next because Candy was like, it took everything I could not to choke this bitch out. I was like, oh, ooh, you know. Like Sheree at that one party. I love it. It cracks me up. Okay, I'm sorry. So what was interesting was that when they went to Maui, they kind of didn't show that was the plane ride that Candy and Todd got kicked off of. And there was, I don't know if you all remember that, but there was a big drama in the press about how they got kicked off of this airline. And she was like, we got kicked off the airline for no fucking reason, right? So anyway, so then what happened was they ended up getting on the next flight and the airline apologized and all that crap, but it was kind of an ordeal, and none of that played out on camera, so that was kind of strange, but whatever. Anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it, and for bearing with my week that I didn't have any updates because there was no Atlanta Housewife last week because of the Oscars. So thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Angel Benton. You can hashtag RHOA or Real Housewife Shit to talk the Housewives of Atlanta. Or you can hashtag RHOBH to talk the Housewives of Beverly Hills. Excuse me. Thank you so much for logging on. Have a wonderful night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.